Evan, ebi ye mo akwaba.
Dr. Majoso, Machiachi, what here for in London, Manchester, baby, obi a wotie ye bia no. Chia obi a na me more baso say on daily basis, more keep on sending, keeping the message alive because my culture that is the most important thing that we need to do because we are coming from a background where understanding about politics, leadership, governance, then as a for no, a bit distorted and there are a lot of information I run it through on various platforms. Sometimes most of this information are unrefined. So the average Ghanaian no create here, sometimes they even become more misinformed than before. So I think with you and other dedicated platforms what advocating more time trying to educate people, even those in abroad back home, because there are people who have even traveled, but they are still uninformed. And I think that some of these platforms is there to educate people. Or be anywhere we are say only that is why I catch us a life is a learning journey. Doesn't matter where you've got into. It's an opportunity for us to interact and then share information across board. Because at the end of the day, we all want one thing, Ghana to be a better place. Our children will feel proud and say, hey, I'm a Ghanaian. That is the place that we want. We want to keep the Ghanaian dream alive, where people will be proud and say, hey, I'm from Ghana. Because somewhere in the 60s, Abra Kwame Nkrumah time now, you could see clearly that Ghana among a community of nations, was a global kind of sensation or a force to reckon with because Kwame Nkrumah at some point was seen as a mediator between the superpowers, Russia then and America then, China. It was a whole lot of stuff. I think that, and several years down the lane, I'm not sure we can say we are proud of our country because for us to go to the workplace and tell them we have defaulted even on our debt, that is enough. And then all the stories at Bloomberg writing about Ghana is very terrible. If you look at various financial times, a report and the stories about Ghana, and yes, it will be an empire by a seminar. What should that? Try the bonnie for mine. It is a depict the reality on the ground. So we are just hoping, say, we arm the average and ordinary Ghanaian with information so that they become, well informed. And when we are making political choices, we will not do it based on emotion, tribalism, ethnocentrism, regionalism, and that kind of stuff. Namum, you be based, on something substantial. About Yankasa, your welfare, your life, your daily livings. And I think that on this ground, my more be so and keep doing what you do.
Yo, yena senso na yenka o se eye ora eye Husseini enso ehwe sans no ora support Richard enso wa ha se na wankasa wire enso abaha eye Joyce Vomawo Oliver Baka Vomawo ne sister all the way wo Norway Oslo ono so ehwe wo say hello hobby ne je say wo no de wo budo ama and then to offer say on for application in famra na yen go through ni yen busa questions bi ansa na yen jante said ye jai kufu sorry man can ye cry yeah yen show and the government renewed the fight against Galamsey and the soldiers destroyed the mining equipment river a year brim what you say
Dr. Randy, the kind my men starting free Oliver can as say as at this point, the gentleman is still behind bars. And so we have various platforms, and some of us have spoken up, say, it make any sense. Be a gentleman, ya can say me, unku nipa, unko fa obire, unku tu abangu ye. It's just something, and our society na engo right. And the oya ya say, yen standing up na yen speaking against waters universally obia jatum say the papa. So on what basis? And I use one person as a scapegoat just to put the fear of God in others. And I'm sure it's quite unfortunate because we live in an era, your free senka, your democracy, you advance it to a point that people will not be intimidated to this level, especially maybe a yababidri. But it's unfortunate, say all the core amount for a place on government, are falling on the wrong side. Government are remaining, your friend is saying, say they will not hit to any of the cause because what's the Amnesty International, several organizations and even international groups, there has been a lot of report even in the international media highlighting how in here said this your friend said Oliver will still be behind bars because for what reason? But unfortunately, that is the situation we find ourselves in. Highlighted where we are today. So me, the fight against Galamsey, my culture said, any substantive, any definitive plan by government. There are a knee-jerk reaction. Because if I take you back to the time of Rawlings, don't forget, Rawlings at the soldier for Konguram, some cost of mining. Rawlings, somewhere around 1980 something, he sent soldiers into the forest to stop miners. They couldn't. Till now, people are still mining. So Echiro said the approach now, far dealing with some of these issues, highly political, and sometimes we adopt some of these knee-jerk reactions, because we are in a political season, just to create impressions that we are really doing something about it, when indeed nothing is being done. So you deploy soldier for to go to the ground. Even under this Akufo-Addo government, one of his approaches, soldier for stop mining. Dr. Ren, just tell me, were they successful? Some of the soldiers who went to the ground came back richer. Because young boys they rather targeted some of the guys mining. For good. A bit more how some came back buying cars and then as a forum. So what Genesis was soldier need to go to the bush to go and stop mining? Or not the Copesica. Now I know who said your friend is saying video and social media. Soldier for me, call Galamsey site or take just to ensure say buying for them to mine. So you see, my culture said this is a human institution. Always and always, whenever there is incentive and opportunity, man will collect to his destructive best because we are very evil people. And the government, you need to be very serious. And some of these conditions are available. Man, you take it away. That is how Galamsey a problem. You ask yourself, say, what approach can we do beside the politics? Say you say Galamsey say Neema, which is true. What can we do to stop this whole Galamsey madness? But you see, the reason why I don't fall for some of these theatrics, you see, it's like a stage managed comedy. And I say, Dr. Ren, in the first place, there is a reason why Galamsey at this point are so pervasive everywhere. And if I should give you a small background, that my culture say this is a country you declare bankrupt. Even your debt externally, we cannot service to the point that we can't even service our debt here. Sika yenya in terms of tax revenue, compared to what we spend at the end of the year, we run into a deficit of about 50 billion every year because your budget is always in deficit. Because the year it also change the yenya. And again, we are coming from a background that all reputable firms, commercial firms, blacklisted Ghana. Since 2022, we cannot go to any firm, any financial space we have to go and borrow. So the question I want to say, are buying on if I know Benyesika? I Galamsey. What's the point? And I say, but mental one can answer.
Yeah, me point now say point now making me tiase pa because at the end of the day no ehemfa na yesa aban no so hieska say ne omuka e party hieska ntia na dey a this same Galamsey yes for no a no be dey obesa akọ no akọ pesa esika no dey aba no dey aba support the campaign be opeso ye.
Exactly. So who said because 2022 I'm blacklisted ya na yentumi nkonkwaji loan, government adopted a certain strategy. And then I say, okay, so I never idea. Yama Bank of Ghana and print cash in my end. It is a witty story now. Bank of Ghana, you're turning her into a printing press, and they print cash. I know that the money bomb also not inflation up to 51%. I unprecedented in the last 30 years in our history. 80 revelations in the shah says air ban no musa baby air corner say Addison here and two between for the 1 year. Bank of Ghana estimate boka over 60 billion. At 60 billion a year entire 4 years. A buy big car obo. Bank of Ghana in a single year estimate boss akano explanation be anywhere buy. Then the only viable option available to government and they say any gold no form. The obetimaya and say ubetime too. gold ni value, you know how it is, and they pay one of the stable currencies. A whole year say, gold. Enti yɛntane attention ɛno nti na sɛ wohwɛ aban mu a mpanimfo akɛse ɔmo wɔ mu nyinaa obiara is part of this galamsey business. Ɛnyɛ me na mabɔ metim America go to Fourth Estate platform ɔkɔyɛ investigation on the ground at the detailed report by mentioning names of amanfo mu to galamsey.
Even Professor Frimpong Krade names kraba beto abontini no the report krade by.
Yes, and when we are doing a conversation like this, I don't want to make it look like these are fact and your conjecture.
Now, Ivan, Eddie Cranington and focus what time will be say we'll be some questions and I say wait, why is this a month for be arguing almost say what time will be in will be some question?
Sir, you see, sir, you can't blame them because you see, we have done a lot of emotional politics over the years, tribal politics, your friends, and religious politics, and that kind of politics in a year. So Ghana ni biano, your investment into politics, and your wisdom and your emotions. Like whenever you invest emotions into something, you sacrifice wisdom. And you just imagine, say, emotionally charged individual, and you take it idea or your friends on the surface. We don't think deep. Galamsey issue by affect you, be we MPP new, we NDC new, CPP new, but you still find people who will insult those who are talking about it because abine and idea. And we come say ni pay abino didikru or money bini onyaka prekwe na hokra chire no chan wa wo criticize on us wa wo ye we no. So that is by orientation. That is why many KSM interview no some of that question. And sometimes you can't blame average Ghanaian or yes sir because growing up, sa orientation you know nya because growing up about that sort I would do a feed 2 piece FM and we say an assembly and no correct. As soon as you say no correct, host now about clear issue now wow bet wow we understanding no ne so read text messages
now host no crown media so the short form near the mediator. And yes. Into share a friend said the plateaus more maybe as a host in there, yours is to mediate between the source of information and the people. Say be free source on no cry. You need to ensure say ubenya no cry now they are a year the for a year friends and listeners send your mobile video with something which is nutritious food to the brains and food to the mind almost bet to me abomodi dia bobra.
Yes, so it is your job to pass judgment. Me platform way so and our brand be a person I am me so and I can't say na mania breme say asem na wo kana ye no kre na brand no say asem wo kan ye no kre. It is your job as a host to do a bit of research to be able to ascertain me no hwan na ye kan no kre na fasi ho na ye nkwa yanim. But growing up, you listen to radio, you become even more confused because NBC ni say no correct, MPP ni say no correct, host no nkasa already testament. So I don't know why na kind of correct. So this is the confusion.
Can you see host ni or neutral?
Exactly.
Instead of the host to be objective, you're neutral.
Yes. And America say in a democracy there are no neutrals. There are cowards and there are those who are ready to face the truth. There are no neutrals in democracy. In politics, neutral be any baby.
Oh, everybody belongs. Everybody belongs to one or the other.
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes. There are no neutrals. Neutral be any baby. It's just a matter of say being able to rise up to the occasion and then defend what is right, just like that. And Ghana ni na sa environment we no di nyini. Ayanansan social media ne mo platforms ne other medium aba. And they are just trying to flip the narrative whose information you available no. And again, through this confusion era, and I be through her say, and I know na me catch you be say, where can I first for police for Chrome ha? Me who say nyansa be anim because Obefa will be awarded 25 years, say uncle soldier, and I say police. Yeah, the 6 months and they go training the panel. Dr. Ren, just imagine, say, you meet a fool. What did 25 years? Obia 25 years in here, onimian sada. Now was so betty may use 6 months after training the tuition in summer. Wow, Casano more damn. Because you cannot use you cannot use 6 months to purge stupidity out of a fool and arm that person with a gun. But that is what we do. And the police in our grounds, or bad in a tama. Obabon and Niswana or the two Babono, because the training couldn't purge that stupidity out of the person, and they need to action in some. And you know how dangerous it is to arm a fool with power or with gun. And it's like now, no matter say, I say police maybe you Uber, and or be a fan or moko through here, police in the no Cuba no. And a fair no one year and the Biaba Tosso and the Pacoso and Tia or Subetia, police in Nubu and the Kaman or P2. I still wish you could say. Yes, or Pito no ma warning shoot. I can't so back as on Casani yam train you wakuno. Yes. Yes. But
police now bought a friend is saying passing that to you.
Born it to wakuno because a police in your tuition and come, then I'll be. So as someone make a message, I remember that particular contest, just for you to understand. NTVC over the years, that is the environment that you grow. So your politics and travel on issues anymore. And your emotional investments. And to accept by young really deep, who say a kuti ayen. Now no na me share protester. Na your friend said their name so Oliver still all behind bars and I'm for your demonstration. So her cause a drive of this demonstration a just a reasonable and everything be able can be a
very just cause.
Yes, police for no more grounds na more air share protesters no so no. Kwana kwasha obo the demeanor, the way they see the protesters. I see say protesters near terrorists be a import or more free baby. But problems na emrantian and mayo who demonstration, the effect our police for no so cry a switching emrantan no demonstration, So the only thing you can do is be professional, but don't do things that they are your enemies or attack or abo. At some point, no more peer binum form. We are Ghana police officer. If you look at Sika Yademe Binuma, Dr. Ran, what's here? We show. So just imagine so we are police in the 3,000, 4,000 a month. Over police barracks, na order them in the fridge in the one year when you see Valanda so about thing because a dining in near Mankum. This is the conditions these people are living in. But one thing I yet very dangerous, and it's a we a police officer. I have a lot of friends of we police officers, and when they speak to you, you only sympathize with them. The kind of economic conditions, then as a form of and easy. And this will be a protest or be a demonstration, and as a form of as long as a Nippon young course way, don't see that person as your enemy. Menyana mabono mepchen form as a for, but some basic way black for they say, Nana me catch it will be our one platform to say, Opa for black people 10 a good them. Nakachro almost a moya nam for they can coexist peacefully for maybe about 1 year without untokwa. Yes, that back and forth no beba. But the same 10 people no. Shadakachro almost say emumienu leaders. I'm telling you, the whole concept will change. Dabi. Either say 2 now or when you 2 million by or might say you be 80 no so. Not 80 no by or might just almost penne. 80 no sanetie. Yenya to me a pesi a chere nua na say ya wo ya ba. That is the concept. And this whole galamsey thing, the approach, and corresponded to what we need to do. The last time I told you, say this whole thing should be a grand policy design on its own. Because galamsey is something that has been passed on from generation to generation. Oko oboasia, obenyo obi anane na tu galamsey, ne papa betubi, and abeduru ne so. And the such people, to them, and yet a vocation, it is a vocation for them. It is their livelihood dependent on everything. So we are government and our person we galamsey through where. My question is, what is the alternative livelihood program and empowerment to be our whatever shifting away from galamsey to go do this? Did we even think about this whole thing? Na say yeah. At the end of see. You can't force people or be already 25 years and not 30 years wow crime you na onsia dwuma bia na galamsey you know ye de hwe ne ba na wo ka chen say on site wa they will try dying
because that is the only means they know and that means they should feed you more
exactly and na one year sa dey when you be do a point nipa na okura tumi say all stop galamsey for no onu nkurofo mu no omuntu so I know the day me na me free ho na betu because Dr. Ren
because me free ho na wo betu a wo di agya me
exactly but
because we share videos ni bi wo am say o na say mpanyimfo ni tu am create hwe ene enso e betu nyina na enso no be say a ensay because mpanyimfo ni tu am nya o man ni ye ene enso e be fa ho de enso etu
exactly because so obi ya mine na galamsey na ote bogoso ba bi na otu say nsuo na obeda sorry yes parliament are the foremost institution, one of the foundations of your democracy will revolve around it akotana say a pass LI 2462 as amra no ma president ho kwan ma tam forest reserve edema kwabrane say onkotua the moral right ben award to question obi o shengurama o2 because over the years forest reserve forest reserve for wildlife conservation whatever na wo de wunnim nyansa akra no edi adi ato se forest reserve no kire se yentu man na ewom na parliament betimi atam power edi ama president ono pe ne bonu edi dada na ye di ama